My name's Keeley. I'm a Cuddle Therapist. And today I'm talking a little bit about this concept called the assumption of positive intent. I use this tool a lot. I also, in the spaces that I facilitate, so group spaces that I am the leader or facilitator of, I have it as one of our community agreements, the assumption of positive intent. But what does that mean? The assumption of a positive intent means that I, as the listener, whether I'm reading something or listening to what someone is saying out loud, am going to take the perspective first of assuming that this other person has positive intent. So if I ever hear anything that doesn't sound positive or doesn't sound like it has a positive intent, my first reaction is to get curious. If my assumption is it's supposed to be positive, then there's some kind of gap in our communication. There's something I'm missing. There's something that's not quite clear that I have to ask questions about and get curious about in order to understand why it doesn't sound positive to me. This is in opposition to what a very human, very natural reaction would be of getting defensive or reacting with frustration or reacting with aggression to something that we hear that doesn't seem like it's positive. So what does that look like? How do we apply this? It's got a lot of applications. If I receive criticism from somebody, it could be on anything. What someone with the approach of the assumption of positive intent would do in that circumstance is hear the criticism and then get curious about why that person said that, or get clarity on what they were saying. Or if I'm assuming that their intent is positive, I can also just assume that maybe they didn't know that I am not open to criticism, and then give them that information. Hey, I think what you're trying to do is give me criticism because you want me to improve, you want me to be my best self, you know how I value success, or you know how I value how I present in the world, and I'm not open to criticism in this moment. So thank you so much for the effort, and now I'm giving you the information that you need to not give it to me. Or I could say, hey, that was really critical. I experienced that as really critical, but I don't think that you're a mean person. So can you help me understand why you might have said that? And then they could go into an explanation of like, oh, that's something that like my family always says. And it doesn't, like, I just wouldn't have thought that you would have experienced, like, they could give an explanation of why. Or maybe I say something like, I know you to be a really kind and respectful person, and the thing that you just said doesn't match that, so maybe I'm not understanding something. It's orienting to, I am assuming everyone is trying to approach the world from a positive space. I'm assuming that everyone's intrinsic motivations are underneath whatever it is good. How do I find that? Is that always the case? No. But that's the whole beauty of this, is that when you assume positive intent initially, it means that the likelihood or the opportunity to find the positive intent is always present. And sometimes it's not there. Sometimes people argue in bad faith. Sometimes people in that moment don't have positive intentions. That's true. That happens. But it is also entirely possible and entirely likely that the positive intent gets completely missed if my initial reaction is defensiveness, aggression, pushing back, anger, and I get to choose that, right? I get to choose my reaction. I get to choose how I am hearing things, and I get to choose how I ask for clarification and how I get curious about things. It's a tool for me. It's a tool for me and my peace and my well-being and my happiness. It safeguards those things, and it creates more of the opportunity for those things to show up. It gives that space for the positive intent to show up, even if it's obscured by miscommunication or differences in language or culture or experience. It gives that space. That's why it's one of the most powerful tools that I know of for positive community relating and positive relationship building.